TAS, which is an acronym for Tool-Assisted Speedrun, is commonly misunderstood, and the ignorance that surrounds it is honestly a major problem for creators who post or aspire to post high-level content on this platform. This is something that I honestly should have made like a year ago, but hesitated because I didn't think I could do this topic justice. Because in the grand scheme of things, it hurts all parties involved, not just Mega Man creators. This is absolutely something that needs clarification because it also gives these gaming communities a false perception of what TAS really is, and how the TAS community itself suffers from it in a way. I'll preface with this: TAS is not an external cheating program, and it is a completely separate type of speedrun that has almost no bearing on the content you see from speedruns and challenge runs. There are exceptions of course, but I'll get into that later. Let's briefly go over what TAS actually is first. Again, it's not something that you can use or some program to run in the background. It's an acronym to represent the type of playthrough it is. The tools refer to the common methods, such as save states and emulators, and creating multiple save states at several key frames of gameplay to rewind any mistakes and get the perfect inputs. Some tasks even go a step further and play the game frame by frame via emulation slowdown or frame advance, while the built-in recorder of the emulator captures all of this uninterrupted with no indication of repeated load states and a normal frame rate during the playback. I'll have a video in the video description that links a YouTuber who can explain and break down TAS way better than I could, as well as a GDQ TAS of Mega Man 1 that is also of educational value. I'm just giving you the diet version in layman's terms. So, a tool-assisted speedrun isn't doing anything to alter the game at all, minus a few exceptions where talented folks can use external programs to overall enhance the entertainment value, such as Lua scripting. You're taking advantage of already existing exploits in the game and using the emulation tools to perform the best speedrun a human can't possibly replicate. And that's the entire appeal of TAS for many of that community. It's common for TAS players to spend months to complete a project because they dedicate so much of their time and creativity to forging the most perfect run imaginable. It's a special speedrun that's not trying to be legitimate. It's purely for fun and educational value, as many people find it entertaining and seeing just how far you can push a game's silly exploits to your advantage. This even benefits real-time speedrunners by finding exploits they otherwise would have never found out on their own to improve their time. So now you have to turn to a different question. How in the world has it now been misconstrued and weaponized to accuse non-TAS runners as cheaters? Well, there are plenty of ways to answer that question, so I'll narrow this down. I'll iterate by saying that some people genuinely don't mean any harm when simply asking if someone's using TAS, which we've already established it's not something that you can use. This video isn't targeting that mindset because that's just curiosity and nothing more. Cutting in mid-editing here. Honestly, I had to rewrite this part of my script, like massively overhaul it, because I realized, wow, I was livid when I wrote this. Holy hell. My anger toward the misconceptions of TAS really gave off the wrong energy, and it was definitely going to muddle my points no matter how well they were conveyed. No matter how much this subject upsets me and how it affects people other than myself, I can't afford to get my personal feelings grounded to the mix, and it'd have ruined what I seek to accomplish with this. So I can now continue to the next point with a more level head. But this video targets the negligence of doing basic research that only takes a few minutes via Google search to understand what TAS is. Instead, nowadays it's used as a buzzword to label gameplay that isn't easy to understand, or a lack of educational pursuit on the accuser's end. Honestly, the more I mince words, the less I start to make sense, so pardon my bluntness here with the following statements. When someone sees a cool stunt in a Mega Man game or a speedrun of it that looks rather difficult to do, they'll go, "That player's using TAS. That was way too frame perfect for a human. Freaking cheater." Like, what? Instead of taking some time to ask the player, if you can, about what they did and how they did it, the first instinct is to try and identify if it was cheating for some reason, and I really think that's an unhealthy approach. Not only does this place TAS in a negative light that it doesn't deserve to be beamed on with, but it's also just objectively the wrong course of action to take. Not only is it a scummy and ignorant thing to do, but it's also an unnecessary claim to make. I have a couple examples to illustrate my point. The first one is, well, me. I'm not a frequent target of this TAS harassment, which is what I'll dub it, but I'm still an occasional target nonetheless because of my reputation as a skilled player. When you look at my content in the right context, I'm always clarifying that my playthroughs are not speedruns, and I just simply play really fast to where it looks like I'm doing so. I'm a challenge runner, not a speedrunner, which is honestly another discussion video I plan to make in the future that's way overdue. So, in the same context, why would I need to use save states mid-stage or slow my emulation to frame advances for a perfect take when I'm already transparent about my process of recording stage by stage? TAS has speedrun in its acronym for a reason. When I'm already starting and ending a recording when I begin, then complete a stage, I've already got the opportunity to reset and retry the stage if I didn't like my performance. Plus, I use a screen recorder, so any save state or frame advances that would, oh my god, why the fuck are they driving like that at 5 in the morning? Anyway, as I was saying, so any save state or frame advances would get captured too, unlike built-in emulator recorders. My next example may be a controversial one, given that I'm literally about to name drop here, but I'm also not going to delve too deep into it because I'd rather not even talk about this at all. But it serves my point. Maverick Hunter is a YouTuber who, like me, posts high-level gameplay of Mega Man games. Sadly, due to his size, he's even more unjustly a victim to folks who ignorantly examine his gameplay under a critical magnifying glass trying to see if he's using TAS. As someone who's been studying TAS videos to understand them better, they're meant to be flawless in every aspect. Every frame is important. This is not a flex when I say this, but when I examine Maverick Hunter's gameplay, I can literally identify every aspect of tech he's utilizing, as well as moments where he could have done something else that would have actually been more efficient, also known as human error. I'm prone to human error myself, so that alone should speak for itself. If there's a moment where he did something that I didn't know about, my first instinct isn't TAS. I simply replay it, study it, and can usually come to a logical conclusion by either testing it out myself with successful results, or inquiring about it from any speedrunners that I could reach out to. It's all about knowledge of the game and seeking to learn more about it when something amazing happens that another player has done. That being said, please leave him alone. I have no idea why, but once in every blue moon, I get this random inquiry from someone who's like,
"Hey, is Maverick Hunter using TAS?"
Or something like,
"Oh my god, Magnus, I'm glad you're so legit, unlike that other guy who's using TAS."
Like, oh my god, stop. It's like I'm supposed to expose the guy? Well, here's an Uno reverse for all of that. I'm not. And I'm not going to do that to anyone else for that matter. This concept of tearing someone else down to raise me or anyone else up is incredibly toxic. It's bad for the communities we foster, and it discourages critical thinking and learning. If misunderstanding what TAS is wasn't bad enough, compounding that with unjustly trying to tear others down is even worse. Do you know why the Mario speedrunning communities or the Devil May Cry players prosper and flourish? It's because there's a system in place and plentiful resources available to educate players, beginner and veteran alike, on various tech, tricks, glitches, and so forth. Frankly, the Mega Man side of things doesn't have that luxury and is quite scarce in those resources publicly. I'm retiring from guides, but I did attempt to improve that with those videos I made in the past, and I do hope in the future that a group of fans within the community can pick up the torch that I've left for them in terms of educating fellow fans who are interested in leveling up their gameplay. And that's also why TAS runs themselves need to be understood better and even appreciated as its own form of art. As I alluded to in the beginning, TAS runs actually help understand these games better. I've clipped it here and there in this video, but I've been using footage of Flameburger's Mega Man Zero TAS run, and there's genuine tech utilized in it that can be applied to human gameplay to an extent. Take Flameburger's fight with Aztec Falcon for example. This looked like some crazy manipulation tactic that abuses some mechanic a casual can't even begin to fathom, right? Well, no. If I slow the gameplay down for you, you'd realize he's canceling the second Saber Slash with a frame-perfect precision of a lemon. The first two Saber Strikes trigger single-digit invincibility frames. By allowing the lemon to hit Aztec before those iframes end, Zero can immediately slash again. In normal gameplay, this is inconsistent because you're more prone to mess this timing up, but that does not mean that it's impossible to use in some way. I spent some time practicing this myself in the recording you see here, and hey, would you look at that? While not as lightning fast as the TAS footage, I'm doing a human version of it to murder him faster than normal, and it's all because I understood the mechanics while watching Flameburger. I've had videos teaching players about how the boomerang and triple rod cancels work, and as a TAS run like this demonstrated, it works with the Buster too. That's genuinely an educational moment, and this aids RTA speedrunners far more in perfecting their craft as well. I probably shouldn't gush too much about the value of TAS, just that it shouldn't be viewed under the lens of cheating and more of a fun moment to learn while seeing the game get absolutely destroyed with no limitations. Like, the only problem would be if a runner claims that their run wasn't TAS but was lying about it, which has happened before in some rare cases. There's always going to be exceptions like that, but when it gets to a point where trying to expose innocent people who aren't even doing a timed speedrun in the first place is the regular practice, at least know what you're talking about first before trying to expose someone. And honestly, I'm gonna piss some folks off when I say that, but I don't care because someone needed to finally address this and not sugarcoat it. So, in conclusion, and as a TLDR, TAS is not some cheating external tool, and we must cease the incorrect usage of the acronym. It's damaging to TAS's reputation and what it seeks to accomplish, as well as discouraging ourselves from learning more about these games that we love so much on a deeper level. I know some people don't have an interest in that, and it's fine. I'm not trying to say that you have to learn this stuff if you don't want to. The casual experience is valuable enough on its own, but at the same time, stay in your lane. It's like someone telling a basketball player that they're cheating when they haven't fully understood the rules of the sport. Just don't do it. If you still feel strongly about trying to expose a cheater, check your facts first and do ample research before hurling an accusation. False accusations are very damaging in this era of internet culture right now. But yeah, with that being said, stay chill, y'all.